And it's a Riot Act delivered without mincing words. Perform or leave us. Those were the words of the president to members of his cabinet, whom he cautioned not to be a clog in the wheel of Nigeria's progress. President Bola Tinubu made the declaration at the 2023 cabinet retreat taking place at the State House Conference Center, Abuja. He also made it clear that he is determined to succeed and encouraged his team to come up with homegrown solutions to the challenges facing the country. Our State House correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
Ministers, presidential aides, permanent secretaries and top government officials converge on the State House Conference Center, Abuja, for the 2023 cabinet retreat aimed at delivering on the Renewed Hope agenda. Once the president arrives and is seated, the secretary to the government of the Federation explains the purpose of the retreat.
The retreat will also provide opportunity to deepen the understanding of participants on best practices in conducting government business. More specifically, the retreat will focus on 1. Ensuring all members are abreast of essential government processes.
Several invited guests also delivered goodwill messages and pledged their support to the Nigerian government's reform agenda.
You are likely to become the third largest country in the world by 2050. I applaud your plans to stabilize the economy and put it on a higher growth path to prosperity, on which so much else depends. The UK stands ready to support in the spirit of mutual respect.
We're here with a very simple mission, which is to help you and support you in this incredibly important and really challenging task of lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty.
When President Tinubu takes to the podium, he reaffirms his conviction that a prosperous Nigeria is achievable through dedication, direction, and unwavering determination.
The bold endeavor is only achieved through courage, determination, and focused leadership. We are going through the reform painfully, and we still have other challenges. Don't be a clog in the wheel of Nigerian progress. Let us look forward. Let us be determined that corruption will go. Progress will be achieved. Better wages for our workers. Living wages.
He also tasked his cabinet to deliver on their assignments.
And that is why we established Resource Delivery Unit. At the end of this retreat, we are going to sign a bond of understanding between you, the ministers, the permanent secretary, and myself. If you miss the objective, we'll review. If no performance, you leave us. No one is an island. And the buck stopped on my desk.
The president also made it clear that the cabinet must come up with homegrown solutions to tackle the challenges facing the country. From the presidential villa, Larry Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Let's now go over to Imo State, where the national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Mr. Joe Ajaero, has been freed by police in the state from what they describe as protective custody in Owerri, the state capital. Mr. Ajaero was arrested at the secretariat of the NLC in Imo State while he was about to lead an Occupy Imo protest earlier slated for today on the grounds that the state government is owing workers salaries, pensions, and had allegedly sacked workers. According to the police, Mr. Ajero disobeyed an existing order by the National Industrial Court restraining the NLC and TUC from carrying out any protests in the state. However, the NLC, in a statement by its head of media and publicity, Benson Upa, alleged that Mr. Ajero was released after being severely brutalized and is currently hospitalized. It explains that Mr. Ajero was contacted at the police hospital in Owerri, from where he was taken to the Federal Medical Center, also in the state. According to the NLC, the Labour leader was beaten up, blindfolded, before being moved to an unknown destination with his phones and other personal effects taken from him. To political matters now, the People's Democratic Party PDP Governors Forum has initiated a reconciliation process with the former governor of Rivers State, Mr. Nyesom Wike, who has been at loggerheads with the party following his disagreement with the party over the emergence of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as the party's 2023 presidential candidate. The chairman of the forum, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, led a delegation of some PDP governors to the meeting with Mr. Wike, who is currently the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. The governors also appealed to Mr. Wike to end the feud between him and Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State.
The chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, Mr. Bala Mohammed, along with some of his colleagues, are here on behalf of the PDP Governors Forum for a reconciliation meeting with the former governor of Rivers State, Mr. Nyesom Wike. The meeting is a follow-up to Tuesday's meeting of the governors, where they discussed issues affecting the party and the crisis in Rivers State.
The antecedents of Governor Wike.
The chairman of the forum leads the conversations, stating their mission, which includes the need to resolve the crisis in Rivers State and to also end the post-convention feud between the former Rivers State governor and the PDP.
Because of his maturity and leadership, and indeed the intervention of Mr. President, this towering crisis appeared to be nipped in the bud. We really appreciate Mr. President and Nyesom Wike, and we are proud that he is still one of us. So long as he stays with us, we are with him. And because we know it is a family problem, it is resolved in the way that we least expected. We thank you, and we continue to urge you to continue to be a mentor.
I'm not interested.
The FCT minister agrees with the governors on the need for reconciliation as he reaffirms his membership of the PDP.
I made it clear to everybody, I'm not here for any party. I'm here for the interests of Nigeria and for the unity of this country. I'm still a PDP member. I've never hidden my position on that.
Mr. Wike also gives additional insights into the feud between him and the Rivers State governor.
You cannot walk and people begin to bring enemies, those who fought you. When you are struggling for the person to be in office, nobody does that. I'm not a political ingrate. I'm not. But don't touch the political structure of Rivers State. I will not shut my eyes.
The meeting is considered a significant step towards resolving the crisis that has plagued the party since the presidential primary last year, as well as the brewing crisis in Rivers State.
Meanwhile, Governor Siminalayi Fubara is optimistic that the political crisis in Rivers State involving himself and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, will be resolved. He said there is nothing wrong for a father and a son to have problems, maintaining that all issues, if any, will be resolved. The governor stated this when the Chief of Defence Staff, General Christopher Musa, led a delegation to the Government House in Port Harcourt, where he restated the president's resolve for peace and security in the country, especially during the off-season elections this month.
As a government, we will continue to work together for a better country, a better one Nigeria that we have all sworn to protect and to preserve. let me wish you the best, that in your tenure, you're going to record a lot of achievement that will also confirm that putting the right people in place will give a more effective result. For our dear state, I know a few things must have is going on, and everybody is wondering what is happening, what is not happening. We're okay. There's no problem. If we have an internal issue, it will be resolved. And everything will go back to normal. There is nothing wrong if a father and a son has a problem, if there is any problem. But I don't think there's anything, whatever it is, I will definitely resolve the issue.
Well, staying with the Rivers crisis, but time at the court where the chairman of the River State chapter of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Chijioke Ihunwo, who was arraigned earlier today at the Magistrate Court in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, has been granted bail. Mr. Ihunwo was arraigned alongside 120 others to face a 5-count charge preferred against them following the protests that trailed the move by some state lawmakers to impeach Governor Siminalayi Fubara. The charges were conspiracy, causing a riot, damaging the house gate of the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly, unlawful assembly, and causing breach of public peace. When the charges were read to the youths, they all pleaded not guilty. Thereafter, their counsel, Alabo Taminowari, applied for bail, which was opposed by the prosecution counsel, Inyek Perez Sipi, who raised questions about the sureties. Well, after listening to both sides, the magistrate, Gift Amadi, proceeded to grant bail to all the defendants in the sum of 100,000 each and adjourned the matter to the 5th of December 2023 for hearing.
Once again, something that we thought has come to pass, but they were rounded up again, about 121 of them, and they brought to court this morning, and they couldn't even sustain their charge. They charged them for unlawful assembly, rioting and all that, but as God would have it, and the law too, they have been granted bail, they are all granted bail, and we are presently perfecting the bail, and they will go home. They will go home. Today they will go home. Why wouldn't they go home? It's a bailable offense. It's a bailable offense.
In part two, after the break, after several postponements, Federal Ministry of Works fixes Monday, November the 6th for commencement of the Third Mainland Bridge rehabilitation. That's in a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If it's joined us, you are watching the News at 10 coming to you live from Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Perform or quit my cabinet. The president reads the Riot Act to ministers as he warns them not to be a clog in the wheel of Nigeria's progress. Police release NLC President Joe Ajaero from what they describe as protective custody in Imo State. NLC accuses law enforcement agents of brutalizing the Labour leader. PDP governors meet with former River State Governor Nyesom Wike in Abuja to resolve the crisis that rocked the party following the emergence of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as their candidate in the 2023 presidential election. And the Rafah crossing from Gaza to Egypt has opened for the first time since Israel's siege began. Well, staying with legal matters, the Court of Appeal Abuja has affirmed the election of Senator Emmanuel Udende of the All Progressives Congress, APC, as the validly elected senator for Benue Northeast Senatorial District. The 3-member panel of the Appellate Court, led by Justice Abimbola Adejumo, set aside the judgment of the State National Assembly Election Tribunal that nullified his election in favor of former Senator Gabriel Saswam of the People's Democratic Party. Now, according to the appellate court, the tribunal wrongly evaluated the evidence that was presented before it by the parties in the matter and thereby arrived at a conclusion that upheld the petition Senator Sassum filed to challenge Senator Odende's election victory. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had declared Mr. Odende as winner of the senatorial election after he polled a total of 135,573 votes to defeat Senator Sassum, who garnered 112,231 votes. Not satisfied with the outcome of the election, Mr. Sassum had approached the tribunal on the ground that the poll was marred by overvoting, irregularities, alterations, and falsification of results. But the appellate court today faulted the judgment of the tribunal, saying it found merit in the appeal that was lodged before it by the APC candidate. And just when negotiations were gearing up for the closure of the Third Mainland Bridge today, as earlier announced by the Minister of Works, the commencement of the rehabilitation work has again been shifted to Monday, November the 6th, 2023. The Federal Controller of Works in Lagos, Olukorede Keisha, says the repair works will begin with the ramps connecting Oworoshoki to Adekunle and Lagos Island, Adeniji Adele to Adekunle simultaneously. Our correspondent Kelly Egiga has more.
We intend to mill out all this undesirable coating of the Third Mainland Bridge deck. We must to start work by 1st of November.
It's November 1, the day the Minister of Works, David Umahi, promised the start of a comprehensive rehabilitation of the 11.8-kilometer Third Mainland Bridge. The bridge plays host to cars, buses, and heavy-duty trucks on a daily basis. It is also named one of the busiest in Nigeria, with an average daily vehicular traffic of 117,000 as of 2019. But reports suggest that figure could have doubled or even tripled. As we continue our coverage on the bridge, our camera lens captures the damaged and stolen bars and other infrastructure on the bridge, which is also on the minister's lineup. And in a telephone conversation, the Federal Controller of Works, Lagos, Olukorede Keisha, explains the shift in dates for the commencement of work.
So the one we want to start with now, that will actually go on the 6th of November, Monday 6th of November, is the ramps coming from Island to Adekunle, and the one coming from Iyanoworo to Adekunle. Those two will be closed now simultaneously or by Monday. That should last about 2 weeks. Thereafter, we will now switch to Adekunle to Island and Adekunle to Iyanoworo.
We catch up with the special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on Transportation, Shola Giwa, who assures residents the maintenance work would be without discomfort, while the sector commander of the FRSC, Babatunde Farinloye, urges motorists to cooperate with the traffic management officials.
People should not be in a hurry to beat traffic. They should not drive against traffic. They should not form extra lane. There should be lane discipline. Those are the things I would advise. And we should avoid speeding during the construction or rehabilitation exercise.
So you can be rest assured Lagos State is ready to manage the traffic efficiently, that it will not distort the lives of Lagosians. We are ready. Even if we start today, we have put everything in place to make sure that the movement of vehicles in Lagos State will be seamless.
It's a free flow of traffic for those who are headed for Lagos Island, as well as those who are leaving the island for mainland Lagos. But all this could change by midnight on Monday, November 6, when the Federal Ministry of Works begin the full-scale proposed rehabilitation work on the bridge. Lagosians now have a few more days to brace up for the possible impacts and consequences that accompany such closure. From the third mainland bridge here in Lagos, Kelly Egiga, Channels Television News.
Well, we have more on the third mainland bridge, and our correspondent Olu Phillips brings us this situation reports as preparations gather momentum ahead of the closure of the expressway.
Midnight today, it was initially scheduled that this bridge will be closed down for some maintenance work. But after some conversations, that date has been moved to Monday, the 6th of November, 2023. Howbeit, let us bring you some scope of work and information as to what is going to be happening. From Monday, 7 a.m., if you are on this bridge, the third mainland bridge, coming from Yanoworo inward Adeniji, you might not be able, or you won't be able to drive down to Adekunle using the ramp. The right ramp there, you won't be able to use that ramp into Adekunle because the first 2 weeks of work will start with closing inbound into Adekunle. And what that also means by implication is that if you're also coming from the island, from the 6th of November, from Adeniji inbound Yanoworo or Woronshoki, you still will not be able to use the ramp into Adekunle on the return leg. So it means that the first 2 weeks, the Federal Ministry of Works will be carrying out a total repair and resurfacing of this road for the first 2 weeks. And that's the Adekunle ramps to both sides. After that closure and reopening, for 2 months again, if you're coming from Adeniji inbound Yanoworo, you won't be able to use the third mainland bridge because it will be completely closed down. But if you're coming from Adekunle into the third mainland bridge inward Yanoworo or Woronsheki, you can still continue to use the third mainland bridge. It's back to you, Millicent, from the third mainland bridge.
Thank you, Olu. And those were just moments ago visual of what will be happening from Monday. Let's take you to Abuja, where Victor Matthias is ready with more stories. Victor?
Indeed, Millicent, I am ready, and of course I have some stories from the nation's capital. And we begin at the National Assembly, from the Senate specifically, which has confirmed Mr. Shaka Chira as the Auditor General of the Federation, as well as 10 resident electoral commissioners. Now, the Senate has also put into consideration a request by President Bola Tinubu for the approval of $7.8 billion and 100 million euros in the federal government's 2022-2024 borrowing plan. Our Senate correspondent, Gloria Omezioke, reports.
On the second legislative day of the week, the Senate converge. The President of the Senate announces a request by President Bola Tinubu seeking approval of $7.86 billion and 100 million euros in external borrowing plan.
The projects cut across all sectors with specific emphasis on infrastructure, agriculture, health, education, water supply, growth, security and employment generation, as well as financial management reforms, amongst others.
Following the removal of the fuel subsidy, the African Development Bank, according to the Senate, has also indicated interest to contribute $3 billion in assistance to mitigate the economic shocks. The Senate then suspends plenary to admit the nominee of President Tinubu for confirmation as Auditor General of the Federation.
Will the Senate approve the nomination of Mr. Shaka Chira for appointment as Auditor General for the Federation? Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The 10 nominees for appointment as resident electoral commissioners are also screened by the lawmakers.
I just want to ask you one question. Just say yes or no. The zeal you put, and you had a wonderful stint in the civil service, which made you to become a permanent secretary, SSG, and so on and so forth. Will you repeat the same thing if you are confirmed by the Senate? Yes or no?
Yes. Particularly in the Electoral Act of 2022. And we are now determined more than ever to ensure that such lacunas are covered. We are going to work together, hold our closed-door sessions, review the laws generally, reject the electoral system so that they will be held more accountable for their actions. We have to make sure we bring a law that will work for Nigerians.
However, 3 of the nominees are absent as the Senate concludes screening and subsequently confirms the 7 nominees. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives is planning to investigate the money expended on the postponed 2023 population and housing census by the National Population Commission. The House made this resolution following a motion from Honorable Dominic Okafor, drawing the attention of lawmakers to the 200 billion naira so far spent preparing for the exercise. Meanwhile, the President the House for approval to borrow $7.8 billion and 100 million euros. Our correspondent Terry Ikumi reports.
During Wednesday's plenary in the House of Representatives, President Bola Tinubu's request seeking approval to borrow $7.8 billion and 100 million euros in the 2024 to 2026 borrowing plan was read by the Speaker.
It has become exigent to request the National Assembly leadership's consideration and approval of the 2022 to 2024 external borrowing plan to enable the government to deliver its responsibility to Nigerians through expeditious disbursement and efficient project implementation.
Meanwhile, the House is worried about the 2023 National Population and Housing Census exercise, earlier scheduled to hold in May. The census was postponed for a second time indefinitely over what the National Population Commission in June referred to as government's transition program and post-election mood in the country. The Commission also stated that 200 billion of the initial 800 billion naira budget had so far been spent. This has now caught the attention of Parliament, as the House of Representatives wants an investigation following a motion by Honorable Dominic Okafor.
Financial investment in 2023 population census planning will have improved economic planning and distribution of palliatives in the country.
After 17 years since the last census, and with just 2 months left till the end of the year, Honorable Okafor believes that the census should still hold. But this is met with mixed reactions from other members of the House.
If, as a parliament today, we are urging the federal government to fix a date in this 2023, which we have less than 100 days to go, to embark on 2023 census, I don't think we are fair to Nigerians that are displaced from the northeast, from the southeast, from the north central, and from the northwest.
We know that this thing was postponed because of our election. Now that we are out of election, let us begin to plan for this country.
We should allow things to simmer down a little bit, where at least we can have something that looks like a holistic census. That's my position.
Are we not just deceiving ourselves when we say we want to go for a population when we have not secured the people? We have not guaranteed them. It is not about the IDPs. The IDPs can be counted. But what about those who are hidden in the forest that nobody can access them?
The motion is amended to restrict the resolution to just an investigation. What may sound a little confusing for some Nigerians is the fact that just a few months ago, elections were conducted across the country despite the insecurity situation. And so hearing lawmakers say that a census should not be held because of insecurity may not be as understandable to some Nigerians, especially considering the importance of the census to national planning. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
And away from the National Assembly, the Life in My City Art Festival, LIMCAF, has held its 17th edition award and gala night in Enugu State to award 100 young talents from across Nigeria whose artistic work stand out. According to the organizers, the goal is to encourage everyone to play a part in fixing the world, which is passing through unprecedented challenges at the moment. LIMCAF commenced in 2007 to encourage artistic creativity and empower aspiring young artists to become professionals and employers of labor.
We have 110 of them. It's the 17th edition of the Life in My City Festival Award and Gala Night, and the Institute of Management and Technology Enugu is playing host as usual. Special guests, art enthusiasts, artists, and government officials are treated to cultural dance and music. There are entries from across the country. Winners are expected to receive an award for best work in painting, sculpture, drawing, graphics, amongst other categories. A renowned broadcaster and fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Kevin Ejiofor, is the brain behind the big idea. The chairman of the occasion, retired Rear Admiral Alison Madueke, is elated at the artistic strength of the young talents. He encourages them to do more.
Keep the faith. Learn from what the trustees and the organizing committees of LINCAF and the jury, who do not care about anything in judging what you have offered, except the quality of your works.
For the patron of the event, the Obi of Onitsha, Nemeka Chebe, governments at every level should help encourage and mold these talents in the right direction, not only for their good, but for the good of the nation.
Art is life, life is art, and it's not frivolity. Every other country that is making progress, government puts significant amount of money to support the creative arts and to support creativity. And once again, I call on the government at the federal level, at the state level, at the local level. And thank God our Commissioner our Honorable Commissioner is here. I should take the message back.
Victory and Chidubem won in the painting and graphics category. They're happy for winning at their first attempt.
I didn't think I would win at first, but by the grace of God, I was able to win. Now, here I am today, doing the painting, getting first position in the painting aspect of the Life in My City art exhibition.
It's a festival, and in the build-up to the concluding part of the event, award-winning author Dike Chukwumerije sent out a thought-provoking message with his poetry recital.
You go to London and get their passport, then settle wherever, however you want. You stand there and fight for equality, but come back and start to use ethnicity. I don't get the logic of thinking it's different to be tribalistic and then to be racist. If you're happy to judge him just hearing his name, whatever you call it, my friend, is the same. Where there is no courage to reach deep inside, where there is no wisdom to look past these things and stop judging accents and surnames and dressing, this fire we're quenching will only keep burning. Which nation can stand dividing its people? How can one build on foundation so brittle? If we cannot see ourselves in each other, this journey ends here. We're going no further.
Congratulations. Creatives are encouraged to be consistent and not give up on the good work. The organization says it is determined to ensure raw talent are harnessed and pointed in the right direction.
And the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority has imposed a $10,000 fine and other stringent rules on oil producers and defaulters on the crude oil supply obligation contained in Section 109 of the Petroleum Industry Act. The Commission's Chief Executive, Mr. Gbenga Akomolafe, explained this as part of efforts by the Commission to address the inadequate supply of crude oil to domestic refineries in the country. He was speaking at a meeting with crude oil producers in Abuja, organized to address the challenges in the sector. And that's it from the nation's capital. I'm Victor Matthias. It's back to Millicent with the rest of the news at 10 in Lagos.
Thanks, Victor. An international sustainability advocacy and consulting firm, CSR in Action, has held the 12th edition of its Sustainability in the Extractive Industries Conference and Community and Human Rights Awards Africa ceremony. At this year's event, the organizers also announced the launch of its inaugural Petroleum Industry Act Implementation Progress Report.
The 12th Sustainability in the Extractive Industries Conference City is a convergence of experts, industry leaders and policymakers, all united by a shared commitment to leverage the opportunities within the extractive industries.
Together, this fantastic...
The conference, holding in Victoria Island, Lagos, and organized by CSR in Action, provides a platform for robust discussions and the exchange of innovative ideas aimed at pursuing sustainability.
The City Conference and now the CAR Awards is an occasion that holds extreme significance for us in our mission for sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and the advancements of communities. Communities are very, very important to us at CSR in Action because we believe that, it's a bedrock for everything. This is where we all come from.
The conference, which revolves around the theme, the SDGs and the extractive sector, features a lineup of speakers and panel discussions, each bringing a unique perspective to the sustainability discourse.
When an institution is not consciously, intentionally making sure that the different classes of people come into the company, come into the sector, participate and lead, then that particular sector, the extractive sector or the economic sector, whatever sector, is not going to perform at its best.
We cannot talk about petroleum without talking about the people who are affected by it. We cannot talk about petroleum without talking about social justice. We cannot talk about petroleum without talking about the fact that you get clean energy only from bad energy. Means technology, mainstreaming, and improvement of the quality of presentation and management of our fossil fuel processing is important. Why are they telling us 2060 or 2050? Why can't we clean it up now?
It's a two-in-one event, as the organizers also hold the Community and Human Rights Awards Africa 2023 ceremony to celebrate deserving individuals and organizations that have made significant contributions to community development and human rights across Africa. The 12th City Conference served as a catalyst for renewed commitment to responsible resource extraction, setting a positive course for the extractive industry's role in a sustainable global future.
And the BA Sectoral Group of the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria and Federal Road Safety Commission have kick-started awareness against the menace of drink driving during this year's Don't Drink and Drive campaign in Lagos. The group said the campaign is to support the FRSC on its objective of achieving a safe monitoring environment in Nigeria.
Ensuring safety of road users in Nigeria becomes necessary as the festive period draws near. The BA Sectoral Group of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria partners with the Federal Road Safety Commission to create awareness on the menace of drunk driving. The awareness campaign, tagged Don't Drink and Drive 2023, seeks to promote responsible consumption of alcohol in the country.
As a responsible corporate organization and industry, we remain firmly set against the harmful use of alcohol, and by any means, including drink driving. We support only safe and responsible consumption of our products, and will continue to drive and support advocacy in this regard with the government, our trade partners, consumers, and the general public.
The Federal Road Safety Commission maintains excessive drinking of alcohol while driving poses threat to the lives of the motorists and pedestrians.
Alcohol alters depth perception, making it hard to tell whether other vehicles, pedestrians, or objects are close or far. Drunk driving also impairs innocent people, meaning those who did not set out to drive drunk that day. But a drunk driver You carry passengers, many of the passengers are not drunk. Many of them have not even taken a drop of alcohol in the last 1 month. And you carry them and crash because the driver is drunk. You discover that those who are not drunk, who did not even taste alcohol, have been seriously affected by the action of the drunken driver. Drunk driver cannot react as quickly as when they need to. Reaction time when somebody is drunk is very, very slow.
The beer sectoral group says campaign rallies will be held in motor parks to further sensitize Nigerians on the need to ensure sanity on the road.
It's now time for business news. Here's Anne Waldo.
Thank you, Millicent. Hello and welcome to Business News. The UK government, through its development finance institution, the British International Investment, has signed a $26.5 million deal with Africa's leading commodities platform, AFEX, to help address the challenge of food security in Nigeria, Kenya and Uganda. Our correspondent, John Mekwa, reports.
The president has declared a state of emergency on food security.
About 4 months after President Tinubu's led administration declared a state of emergency on food insecurity, the private sector and international bodies have begun keying into different stages of the food production value chain to make insecurity a thing of the past. The British government is interested in empowering smallholder farmers by boosting storage facilities to minimize post-harvest losses. Working through the British International Investment in collaboration with AFEX, a commodities exchange in Nigeria, it is committed $26.5 million.
Thanks to the investment being announced today, AFEX will be able to build 20 modern agricultural warehouses in strategic locations in Nigeria, Kenya and Uganda. And this will allow smallholder farmers to have better control over the quality of their harvested crops, which boosts their access to markets while also creating job opportunities within local communities. A portion of this funding will also be used to develop a soybean processing plant in Ibadan, which, as you will know, is an important hub for Nigeria's economic development.
It's been a long road to this moment, but finally the agreement is sealed and binding. Now it's time to work.
Some of these investments, we've started to build, so they will come on stream as early as our Q1. Second is about, the national pride of we want Nigeria products to be the best quality, the best nutritional value across the world. And third is we want markets to work.
With post-harvest losses claiming about 50% of agricultural production in Nigeria, investment in storage and preservation facilities is expected to turn the tide and allow the spread of harvest through most parts of the year. John Mekwa, Channels Television News.
Business activities in Nigeria have contracted for the first time in 7 months this year, and that's according to latest monthly Purchasing Managers Index, the PMI report by foremost financial institution Stanbic IBTC. The October edition of that report shows the headline index dropped below 50 points mark to 49.1 last month from 51.1 recorded in the month of September, signaling a worsening business condition in the private sector. This decline, which comes as the country's inflation hit a new peak in Stanbic IBTC survey and depressed customers' demand. At the same time, the level of new businesses dropped at a solid pace, ending a 6-month series of growth, while business activity also slowed, falling to a second time in 3 months. Still with the report, the impact of lower new orders and high inputs prices all led companies to cut activities, but it increased its outstanding business, was reported last month. Meanwhile, the level of staffing rose for the 6th month in a row as a strong pace, while the delivery time of suppliers improved due to the competition among themselves. From there, we head to the stock market. It began the month, a new one, with a nearly 2% gain. Let's hear the details from Laddie Williams.
Hello and welcome.
welcome to the Stock Market Report. There you have it. It's another rally, but this time the NGX All-Share Index crosses the 70,000 point level for the first time. There you have it there, 7,581 points. See the All-Share Index up almost 2%, 1.94%. Market cap, 38.77 trillion. Let's look at the market mover. Just like yesterday, Airtel Africa doing it again, 1,694 naira. That's what it closed today. We know the company reported strong performance, amid forex crises, rising diesel prices, particularly in Nigeria. So their revenue rose about 23% in constant currency. And so I see investors quite excited with that. We see the sectoral performance now. We see banking topping the counter. 2.21%. We see the food goods there, all adding to their share prices. Consumer goods on the flip side, down 0.14%. Oil and gas remains unchanged. So the market's positive sentiment among investors has been attributed to several factors, including favorable policies introduced by President Bola Tinubu's new administration and record earnings from listed companies in the third quarter. So that's how your money performed today. I'm Ladi Williams.
Thanks for watching Business News. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thank you, Anne. And more from Gaza as Rafah crossing to Egypt opens. Here's Simon Pusey with more in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Rafah crossing from Gaza to Egypt has opened for the first time since Israel's siege began. The first group of foreign passport holders evacuated have now reached the Egyptian side of the border crossing. Egyptian security forces said injured evacuees had also crossed from Gaza as part of a deal mediated by Qatar. It's thought 88 injured Palestinians and around 500 foreign nationals will be allowed out in the first phase. Meanwhile, Israel says 11 soldiers were killed in ground fighting in Gaza on Tuesday, taking the number of Israeli military killed since the 7th of October to 326. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says more than 8,700 people have been killed since Israel's retaliatory bombing began. Pakistan has started to arrest Afghans as the country begins a nationwide crackdown on foreign nationals it says are in the country illegally. Thousands of Afghans in Pakistan have made their way back to Afghanistan in the last 2 months, but many of them who have called Pakistan home for decades say they have nothing to go back to, while others say they are terrified to be heading back to the Taliban government. The UK government has announced a world-first agreement on how to manage the riskiest forms of AI. It focuses on so-called frontier AI, what ministers consider highly advanced forms of the tech with as yet unknown capabilities. The agreement, signed by countries including the US, the EU and China, was announced at the UK's AI Safety Summit. Elon Musk, who's attending the meeting, says the summit aims to establish a third-party referee.
What we're really aiming for here is to establish a framework for insight so that there's at least an independent referee that can observe what leading AI companies are doing and at least sound the alarm if they have concerns.
The troubled office-sharing firm WeWork may file for bankruptcy as early as next week. That's according to US media reports. The firm was once seen as the future of the office and was valued at roughly $47 billion in early 2019. But it has been plagued by problems, including a disastrous attempt in 2019 to sell shares to the public and the exit of its co-founder. The company was also hit hard by the pandemic as more people started working from home. WeWork shares fell by more than 40% in after-hours trading in New York on Tuesday. King Charles has acknowledged the abhorrent and unjustifiable acts of violence committed against Kenyans during their independence struggle. King Charles and Queen Camilla began the second day of a state visit to Kenya by visiting a cemetery for veterans of World War II. They awarded 4 veterans who fought alongside the British medals to replace ones they had disposed of during the Mau Mau uprising. He then planted a tree in Nairobi during his visit to UN offices. Earlier, the King addressed the wrongdoings of Britain's colonial era but did not deliver a formal apology, which would have to be decided by government ministers. In response, Kenya's President William Ruto praised the King's courage for addressing such uncomfortable truths.
The wrongdoings of the past are a cause of the greatest sorrow and the deepest regret. There were abhorrent and unjustifiable acts of violence committed against Kenyans as they waged, as you said at the United Nations, a painful struggle for independence and sovereignty. And for that, there can be no excuse.
And it wouldn't be Halloween without a Heidi Klum party, and the model did not disappoint with her 22nd annual Halloween party in New York. Klum called on Cirque du Soleil to help her emerge as a peacock with a mini performance on the red carpet outside the marquee nightclub. The television personality said she wanted to create a fun and beautiful moment for guests. The model also dressed her husband, Tom Cowlitz, as an egg. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Edo Queens are the champions of the 3rd edition of the Betsy Obaseki Women's Football Tournament, played this evening at the Samuel Ugbemudia Stadium in Benin City, Edo State capital. Edo Queens urged Bayelsa Queens 4-3 on penalties after both sides played a 1-1 draw in regulation time in the preseason tournament for women's team in the country. The new champions will cart home 5 million naira, with the runners-home getting 3 million naira. Super Eagles and Napoli forward Victor Osimhen has been named among 30 players shortlisted for the prestigious CAF Awards in the men's category. Nigerian forward Gift Orban was also nominated for the Young Player of the Year award. A panel of CAF technical expert African football legends and selected media representatives from a number of countries put together the preliminary list. And that's it on sport. It's back to you, Millicent.
Thanks, Chris. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu today challenged his ministers to either perform or quit his cabinet. The president, who made the declaration at the 2023 cabinet retreat, also warned the ministers not to be a clog in the wheel of Nigeria's progress. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Have a good night and stay safe.